Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see here on our channel, our website, or our social media. Reach out to me directly. It's in the description below, tmosso at thewatchbox.com. And what I'm holding today might be the most desirable standard watch that FP Journe manufactures. A watch that he considers the most accurate mechanical timepiece he knows how to construct with current technology. It's also my personal favorite. This is the Chronometre Optimum black label, 42 millimeters in platinum. It's the big one. The timepiece, of course, 42, a still relatively new plus-sized option from FP Journe. From lug to lug, it's also broader. As you can see, the timepiece across the wrist is 51.8 millimeters, while still remaining reasonably thin, 9.9 millimeters thick with a 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see it is broad. The lugs, in particular, have a lot more shoulder and flare than the standard 38 and 40 millimeter watches that came before. It's still not thick though. It'll easily slide underneath the cuff. Here's the head on. Here's the down the barrel. And I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference, but I wouldn't go any smaller than that. Any smaller than that, you're gonna want the 40. Taking a look at the hardware and the software, you'll appreciate this is a factory strap from FP Journe. Quick release pull tab spring bars for easy removal of the strap. Round scale black alligator on the bottom. Rectangular scale black alligator on the top, folded edge, monotone stitch. Having gator on both sides means it lasts longer, and having curved spring bars means the lugs can be drilled closer to the case without any encumbrance to the motion of the strap. There's a simple FP Journe platinum pin buckle to match, and then a characteristic Journe case shape. This scales, whether 38, 40, or 42 millimeters, this is a familiar form. Integrated lugs, 90-degree turn from the case band to the end of the lug. You can see that there's high polish everywhere. There's an overlapping lip about the bezel and the case back that defines the mid-case domed bezel and the double dimple knurled crown characteristic of Journe. Now, although this watch was originally offered in 40 millimeters, I do believe it looks better as a 42. The dial breathes better, and there are many features to this dial. It's a very distinctive one and highly technical. Opening it up looks better. We should talk about what it means to be a black label. That is an exclusive, basically a boutique exclusive for FP Journe, but with an additional proviso, a stipulation, which is that you must previously have purchased a new FP Journe watch. So it is both a boutique and espace exclusive and a model for previous new FP Journe buyers. That's pretty restrictive, but it gets more so, as only 2 of any given model can be built black label per year. Now on the dial side, you can see the printing is off-white, a little bit like the Chronometre Bleu. These are slightly cream-colored numerals as letters. You'll also note that there's a power reserve down at what would conventionally be about 7 o'clock on the dial, and it only depicts 40 hours, even though the watch will run for 70 when fully wound. And that's because 40 to 45 hours of the power reserve entails constant amplitude, a chronometric feat that allows the watch to operate isochronously and, when properly regulated, very precisely, losing no balance amplitude for the first 45 hours it operates, and that is why only 40 hours are depicted on the scale. You'll also note that the watch features a sweep seconds, but then on the reverse side, it also features deadbeat seconds. After 45 hours, the watch will default to scrolling or sweep seconds on both sides, deactivating the constant force device to keep the watch running. That's why you want to wind the watch at the same time every day. You can also see that there is a black polished flat cock for the escapement system that is keyed to the remontoir, which also drives the deadbeat seconds. You'll also note radially arrayed Arabic and minutes and hours, both radially arrayed concentrically with a railroad or piano key scale in between. There's a mini railroad for the sub-seconds, and then there is a black polished steel bezel with black polished dial side bolts. You can see it is a remontoir d'égalité, and then it has a double direct impulse escapement. Like I said, this is the most accurate mechanical watch FP Journe knows how to make. The movement, 1510, 15 French lean in size, big, and of course 10 being the year work started on this movement, proceeding for almost 2 years after. Bridges and plates in 18-karat rose gold, 44 jewels, adjusted in 6 positions, one more than a standard chronometer, beaten away at 21.6. Let's talk about all of the technology here that makes this watch run consistently. Twin mainspring barrels to increase power reserve and even out the release of torque from the mainsprings. But taking no chances, FP Journe uses a linear spring and a second escapement pulsing once every second, meting out 1 second quantized bursts of energy to the escapement. This acts as a buffer between the barrels and the escapement, and it allows, again, for 45 hours, constant force to be applied to the escapement. Wait, there's more. We have the 2 barrels, the 6-position adjustment, the constant force device, and though you can't quite see it, there are 2 escape wheels, double direct impulse. They are unlubricated titanium. The escapement operates unlubricated, and there is no conventional Swiss lever. This is like the 1802 Breguet natural escapement, directly impulsing the balance with no lever, each wheel impulsing the balance only in its direction of travel back and forth, reducing friction, improving timing, and ultimately extending power reserve. Wait, there's more. It's a free-sprung architecture that takes and holds that 6-position adjustment in the face of bumps and concussions on the wrist, and then there is an overcoil hairspring, a feature used on very few FP Journe watches. Among them, the Chronometre Optimum and the Tourbillon. They are always flagship pieces. Finishes to a high standard, and I should say overall, some of the aspects such as the cover to the regulator are finished to a higher standard than you will find on standard Journe watches, which tend to be a combination of mechanical and manual finish. On this watch, you will find that there is a higher proportion of manual finishing. Perlage in several sizes, Côte de Genève, satin finished wheels, black polish for all screws as well as the regulator cap, and satination, for example, on one of the cocks bearing the train from the remontoir. You also have a mirrored bevel on the edge of the bridges. This is a gorgeous movement in a gorgeous and technically accomplished watch. This is the watch FP Journe says represents his best, and my favorite. 30 meters water resistant, so hey, it can't do it all. But email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.